Chum. Pass me the eddies. I'll flick you the deets. Time for another Bamcomixs video review. Cyberpunk 2077! Smash that like button and a big shout out and thank you to everyone who's tuned in, everyone who's subscribed. This is our 30th video, guys, and we can't wait to just go ahead and debut it right now. So, boom! Big shout out to you guys. Cyberpunk 2077 was supposed to be one of the biggest games of 2020. Triple A, baby! But it failed. Of course, being 2020, and if you're watching this, Happy New Year! So, what happened? Well, the review is for PS4 after the 1.06 update. Is it salvageable? Can it be playable? Can you still play it on a PS4 after all this update? The short answer is, thankfully, yes. It is playable now in its current state in version 1.06. This beautiful monster dead on arrival in Night City, Chum. And, you know, what happened? We know the Cyberpunk, the marketing, you know, it wasn't real to the hype and expectations of what we wanted. I mean, Chums! Let's talk about my all-time favorite movie, Blade Runner. Like, this was supposed to be the RPG equivalent of Skyrim, but in the future, right? So everyone was so hyped. I was hearing about this game 8 years in the making, just hearing about it so long. I even read an article that had stated that this game was even talked about before The Witcher 3 came out. Like, this started off as a tabletop Dungeons and Dragons type RPG board game. Okay, and they had the vision for this thing to make it into a first-person RPG. It has its shooter-looter elements, and it was just going to be an all-around good time, multiplayer. Keanu Reeves, there was at the Game Awards, man. Yo, at the Game Awards, I remember the 2019 Game Awards, Keanu Reeves coming out, and everyone was like, holy shit, it's Keanu Reeves! And Keanu Reeves was gonna be in a video game. And like, yo, you would see the picture of Keanu Reeves, right? And he's like, wake up, samurai, we got a city to burn! And everyone lost their freaking minds! Kojima! From Metal Gear Solid fame, it's like, you know, endorsing, like, everyone thinking, yo, Cyberpunk. This was supposed to be the tippity top triple A game from the makers of the Witcher series, which, you know, they based on a series of books, but this Polish developer was no stranger to big ideas. Unfortunately, the technical capacity to carry out those ideas has always been a bit limited. But this time, man, you guys had 8 years to develop this game. It's no excuse to release it the way it was released on the console versions. And the reason I go back into this is because of the expectation. Did it meet the expectations? No, it did not. Okay? It didn't meet that expectation. At least not to PS4 player, many PS4 players, and heck, why don't we just even say many people, because, you know, their game got taken off the PlayStation Store. That this is an unprecedented thing. I've never remembered in the history of gaming the CD Projekt Red Cyberpunk, this game being taken off the PlayStation Store. And many were just shocked. Many were like calling for refunds. And it's just like a swarm of controversy surrounding this game being sued. You know, just like people that have had it up to here with fake marketing, man. This is the third time. If I've learned anything from this Cyberpunk debacle in my review of Cyberpunk, you know, is that don't pre-order games. Okay, like now, a lot of you guys out there probably already know. But I've already been burnt 3 times, and these are by major companies. These are not by like little itty bitty studios. These are by award-winning, proven studios that you say, wow guys, the narrative was completely the opposite of what I wanted. And for a lot of people, they liked it, but for fans like myself of Joel and The Last of Us 1, we felt burned. So that was one pre-order. The Avengers was hyped up to be this big thing, and me as a huge Marvel fan, comic book fan, Bamcomixs, you know, we love Marvel, we love DC. The game was a total letdown. And now, Cyberpunk 2077, and when I got it the first day and digital download, digital release, I pre-ordered the game. So this is my 3rd pre-order burn. When I boot up the game and I start playing, I've been taken out of the experience so many times. So many bugs, so many bad glitches, so many story-breaking errors that, you know, it breaks the immersion, you know, of the player. And if you're thinking RPGs, Dungeons and Dragons, tabletop games, Skyrim, anything like that, you want to be totally immersed in the game. It's role-playing, hence role-playing. You know, after 1.04, and the patch, I was almost gonna call it quits. A friend of mine deleted the game, so many people got refunds from it. I decided to stick with it. After 1.05, it was less, you know, with hiccups, but it was still playable. And now at 1.06, this last update, it is playable now. I would say it's stable, like maybe, I would say 80% stable, just because there's still a lot of glitches in the missions and such. But let's start with the bad. It just burned me. The whole thing reminded me of Shadow of Mordor fiasco. You know, when the PS4 came out, Shadow of Mordor also came out for the PS3, and it wasn't ready. They had a Nemesis system, much like this game had advertised in the past that it would have a police wanted system. The police in this game are a joke. Similar situation here, but the bugs, clearly no excuse. Guys, we've seen games like Red Dead Redemption, Part 2, Ghost of Tsushima this year, Doom Eternal this year, and those games ran amazing on the PlayStation 4. The graphics were just like, hey, I don't have the Pro, which can run 4K on my 4K television, but, you know, still, on a base 2013 PS4, those games, you know, Doom Eternal and Ghost and Last of Us 2 looked amazing, guys. So there is no excuse here, and they ran perfectly fine. Cyberpunk 2077 is definitely not a AAA game. Let's get that out of the way right now. Even, you know, Chronicles of Riddick on the Xbox did a better job. The developers' management clearly knew it wasn't ready, pushed it out for that Christmas release window. After update 1.06, the game freezes whenever too much is going on. That doesn't happen a lot now. It still happens, okay? There's times where, like, I'm in an underground club in Night City, which, by the way, Night City, that's a nicely, like, I like the name of it, like the design. And there was one time when I was in the underground club, and there was a rave out, and, you know, it was crazy because the club belonged to a gang called Maelstrom, and there were heavy hitters, so I had to rescue her, or, no, not rescue her, but steal some information and then escort her out of the club or whatever, and we depart. But it froze that time. So whenever too much is going on in the game, it freezes, but, you know, in my experience now, after the patch, it doesn't really happen like that. But, you know, don't rule it out. It will happen. The frames won't load in. Okay, now for many people, this is like a big turnoff. Like, it doesn't happen a lot, but it still happens that NPCs will be either non-responsive or just behaving in a way that's just plain weird. Like, you'll have NPCs running into a wall. I've encountered NPCs that, you know, are stuck in the level, so those missions are glitched, and I cannot continue to progress in those side missions, unfortunately, right? And when I reset the game, you still see them there. So that needs to be taken care of. Several times my guns wouldn't work. Guys, you don't know how annoying it is to craft a gun in this game and get all of the parts for it and spend like literally like hours on this game crafting a gun, and then you take it into a situation, it's kind of like click, click, click. It's like, you know, it's like you run into an area of baddies, you think you're gonna be like, oh, like, and like your gun doesn't like work, like it doesn't shoot any bullets, and then you're just like standing there. It's like a bad Looney Tunes cartoon. This game has so many of those breaks in immersion and bugs that you find interesting ways to work around them. There's many gamers that are just completely like, things like that happen in the game, that's it, done deal, you're done. CD Projekt Red, like, give me my money back, I'm not gonna play this game, I'll wait until it's ready. And then a lot of times it felt like an early access game and I was playing it, but for me, I kind of just like, I worked around those glitches. Like, okay, if I couldn't pull out the shotgun because it wasn't working, I just pull out my samurai sword. Or I just pull out like the John Wick gun. Because you can get Keanu Reeves' gun in this game, which is like like a John Wick type gun, but like the way it is, it's like, it looks really cool, guys. I'm not gonna lie, that part does look cool, and then when you reload the gun, he does this little like spin, just like kind of like what John Wick would do. And in the trophies, there's actually a trophy called Gung Fu, where you have to, I think, kill or subdue 3 baddies in one, like with the handgun, like how John Wick does it, right? That was cool. Yeah. So there's no excuse. It should work. When you shoot a gun, it should work. We'll release it when it's ready. It's still not ready. The glitched missions after 1.06, it's still broken. There's bugs. There are problems apart from the bugs, and let's just run through those. The inventory management, guys, in the game is still botched. There's no groups. No grouping by handguns, no grouping by pistols, no grouping by sniper rifles, submachine guns, no grouping by clubs, no grouping by knives, no grouping by swords, no grouping by batons. And guys, this game is a looter. You have a whole bunch of different items. You know, they flood your inventory. You do have tabs for items. I mean, you have tabs for health. You have tabs for gun and attachments and blades. But you have to understand, when you have a tab for guns and you just see an icon of a handgun, you click on that icon and you're gonna get pistols, handguns, shotguns, sniper rifles, marksman rifles, assault rifles, submachine guns, automatic, semi-automatic, and they just throw all of that into there, guys. And not to mention, this is the PS4 version we're talking about. Not to mention, when you go to sell those items at a shop, you're gonna have to do that one by one, okay? You're not gonna be able to just click, 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 select a group of 5 or 6 in one category and then just sell them as a batch. Good luck with that. They probably have that feature on the PC. But CD Projekt Red knowingly knew that the game wasn't ready for the console market, and then they released it anyway. So that's why, from me, CD Projekt Red does not get a pass. There's still a lot of things they need to fix in this game, and me as a consumer felt cheated by the wrongful marketing of what they did. Okay, they showed next generation graphics. This is supposed to be the next generation of open world game, guys, and next generation, it is not, okay? Next generation, the map, for crying out loud, is, you know, just like, it's an old design. Okay, it's a red blotch, and you still have disappearing icons when you go into the free map. You hit R3 and you zoom in the map, there's no icons. It's an ugly map, it's hard to see, hard on the eyes, and the real customization is not present. Like, your character looks like a tacky mess. Pink shorts. Come on. I don't want to wear pink shorts, guys. I don't care. I mean, yeah, it's like kitschy. It's like, hey, I got pink shorts. I'm thinking I was gonna look like Deckard from Blade Runner. I thought I was gonna have like a cool trench coat, you know? Night City, right? Come on now. No controller setup. From a first-person shooting background, like from the Doom era, I'd like to set up my controls the way I want them to be. Even as like a Call of Duty player, like I really like first-person shooters, so could be a lot better. In terms of updating your controller, I want to be able to duck by pressing down the R3. I don't want to hit 0 to duck. Those are just like the technical problems aside. Every AAA game should have a controller setup, and most of them do. A lot of them do. And games that are not even AAA have that option. So I don't know why that wasn't in there. The hand-to-hand combat in the game could have been better. But maybe that's because I haven't like upgraded my characters hand to hand. But mind you, I'm a level 40 in the game, okay, and I've unlocked most of the skill trees, and I haven't gone into Brawler as much. I have leveled up some items in there, but I thought the hand to hand could have been way better. Like, you know, I thought it was gonna be like some martial arts kung fu thing, like kicking and, you know, doing different like samurai moves or like just wrestling moves, or just like picking up NPCs and throwing them around. That would have been cool. Everything in the game is surface. I broke into a police station and it was empty. There was no police in it. NPCs that are not the major characters, but just like random people in the street. Some of the actions are funny. It's just some of them are dull. Like the police are laughable. It's just, you know, the missions don't pay too much. So everything like in the game, you do missions, you'll get money, but you know, I wouldn't call it a grind because I actually enjoy the missions, but they don't really pay too much. So you're going to be selling, again, getting back to the inventory, selling those items one by one, guys, was a real drag. I hope that in the next patch in 1.07, they add the ability to group junk and group sell items, guys. You don't know how much time I would save in my actual gameplay of actually playing the game if this was something that was incorporated, and other games that have it. Come on, like The Division, you know, take a cue from them and organize that backpack, because there is a lot of items in there, and that severely affected a lot of what I liked about the game. No flying cars, guys. You see cars that fly in the background. You see cars that fly above Night City. There's only one instance where I took a flying car, and that was toward the end. I don't want to really spoil it, but it was just part of the story. It wasn't like I was actually controlling a flying car. But in that story mission where I was in the flying car, that was pretty cool. I just wish that it had that. I thought I was gonna, you know, have that Blade Runner flying car. On to what I liked about the game. The art design. This game is dripping with style, guys. It's dripping. It's like oozing with style, and it's like, yeah, like it's its own style, right? It's like a love letter. It's like a fan who has like an image of Cyberpunk, right? Who's probably maybe read the books, read comics, read cool stuff, and you know, a lot of heavily influenced like pop culture tones in this game as far as the art design is concerned, because it's like Cyberpunk, it's like future but retro. You know, a lot of the buildings are designed like, I felt like I was in Florida. You know? And I really like, I like the city. I like the design of the city. I like, you know, not too much the intro of it, because at first it was cool, but then it kind of like gets like a little tiresome. So I just hit 0. I just hit start. But that start screen when the game starts and it says Cyberpunk 2077 on the side, I really like that. I really like that logo of it. The art design, again, the graphics. Are the graphics the best graphics? I would just say that they're, they're okay, they're serviceable, they're practical. They made me believe that I was in the world of Night City, and especially in the night. So what I do is, like, during the day, Night City doesn't really look like too much. You gotta play it at night, so I skip time, sometimes in the midnight, or 9 o'clock, midnight, 1 in the morning, 2 in the morning, and just to see the neon lights of the city and the film grain. And you guys can turn this off to see if you can make the game run better. I turned off on my settings the swoop effect, or the motion blur as they call it. So I turned that off. But I left the film grain. I liked it. It reminded me of like this game reminds me a lot of so many good movies that I've seen. The characters in this game are really odd. The characters are like, they're interesting. I liked, Johnny Silverhand, like the way Keanu Reeves portrayed him. I liked V. I liked all of the characters that V comes into contact with, like Pan Am and Jackie, his best friend, and the Valentinos, the Mox gang, the calls that you get from the missions, which is like, there's so many calls that you get on missions. Really like driving through the city. I like the sound design of the game. I like the radio stations, even though that they could do that way better, but for the music that it did have in the game, I did like it, and I was like grooving with it. There's a lot of times I turn off the music, but it fit, it had all of that, cyberpunkness, right? I felt that I was in like the Blade Runner city, but it was under lockdown, because there's not a lot of NPCs, there's not a lot of like, this is Night City, man. Like, you gotta fill that up. As I said, it's all really like it's a surface design. When you delve deeper into it, it's not that dense. The movement in the game, hell yeah, the movement, I loved it. I love being able to double jump and using my cybernetic enhancements to like double jump and reach areas in the map that I couldn't reach before. Using quick hacking, using my Netrunner capabilities to hack and get money from ATMs. And I've heard that this feature of hacking has been done in games better before, like Deus Ex, Humankind, or Watch Dogs from Ubisoft. I really wasn't hacking too much. As far as characters goes, I built myself sort of like a Desperado, John Woo, samurai Netrunner dude, who carries a shotgun, a samurai sword, and basically like a sniper rifle. And guys, when you reach a certain level in this game, you're overpowered. That might turn off a lot of gamers, right? I played it on hard. My playthrough was on hard. The default setting is hard. So big props to the guys who made that the default setting. I played it on hard, and there's a certain point you get to where you're not completely, like, I'm a level 40 and the street cred already like maxed out or whatever, but in the skirmishes, your character's movement, being overpowered sometimes is pretty cool, because you feel like you're like in a movie. Like, that's what I really liked about the game, like making me feel like I was in some type of a movie, especially during the setups to the missions where they would do the planning of the mission. I really liked that. The combat, I really liked the combat. I really thought it was cool, especially like when you run out of bullets and you could take your samurai sword, or you could take a knife and you could do some knife play. I thought that was pretty cool, guys, and I'm saying, like, if they keep updating the game where it's at now, it's a very good foundation, it's a very good base. So, like, the main story is very short. It took about 20 hours to complete. I guess for me, like, I just ran through the story. It was really quick. But the side missions, even though they're derivative of other games, the side missions for me were quite enjoyable, even though it's like, right, the same thing, but you know, they divide the side missions into taxi cabs, right? Taxi cabs where you have to get the taxi cabs back to Delamain. These are taxis that can talk, man, and they've gone rogue. All the taxis gone rogue, yo. You gotta collect those taxis back for Delamain. Did that. I missed those missions, by the way. Those were pretty fun. And each car had their own AI, man. The side missions and the story setups are really good in this game. Okay, it's just a shame that it's bogged down with those other problems. But, you know, when you really sit down and objectively look at the mission design and the characters, yeah, okay, you've done stuff like that before in Grand Theft Auto or whatever. But in this game, I found it enjoyable. So you have the taxi missions where you get back. You have the rescue missions where you have to rescue somebody. You have missions where you have to hack into enemy bases and install malware, or in some instances recover data and do it quietly on the sneak. And if you don't, your payout is less. You get missions where you just have to an all frontal assault, you know, where you have to destroy the whole base. You have underground missions. You have missions like in apartments far above Night City, where you have to take out like crime lords and work with the NCPD to like tackle street crime. But you're a merc. You're a merc for hire, man. My final review or final score for Cyberpunk 2077 is a solid 7 out of 10. Guys, the realization hit me that I needed to change the score, right? And I love the game so much, and this is why it's such a shame for me to do it. And as I was playing a side mission, it was like the last straw. Like the side mission glitched out. It was, again, this is probably the 4th or 5th side mission now that's glitched out, and you know, in my usual way, okay, let's work around it, let's do another side mission. And the game crashed, it froze, and I was literally looking at like a loading screen for like about 5 minutes, guys. I'm not even kidding. I even took out my timer and was like, how long is this loading screen gonna be? And like on that realization, like when that happened, like it really hit me. Like, I think it's time to really maybe even take a break from gaming just for a bit, you know, just because in all of the time that I was sitting there and thinking, man, I could be doing so many things. I could be working on my art. I could be just, you know, learning something new. I was just sitting there looking at that loading screen. Now, guys, mind you, when you have digital content, you could also play it offline. So the game, despite it being in this update of version 1.06, and despite us saying earlier in the review that for the most part these problems are gone, and it's true, that doesn't mean it still won't happen. It doesn't mean that your game still won't crash. And I think, like, I've already had it up to here, and it's sort of like the game, it crashed again, and, you know, no, it wasn't even that it crashed, it was just that it froze, and it was on that loading screen. Just made me realize it's sort of like, just think about it in terms of a party. Like, you know, the party's over, you know, guys, like, you go to this party, and you're having just such a great time, and then when it's time to leave, they turn on the lights, and you actually see what the place looks like. And it's sort of, it's just like this letdown, like it was, in your mind, you made it up to be so much more than what it is, and so much that was promised, and so much that the game is. And under normal circumstances, without any of these problems, it would be at least a decent, okay 7 rating. But in light of this last thing that just happened, and with the freeze, I have no choice but to give this game a 5 out of 10 stars, guys. 5 out of 10, half a game, and it's just so disappointing. It's like, again, it's like waking up the next day after a party and realizing that it wasn't really as good as it was made out to seem. Like, you know, even you hyped yourself up so much, and then the next day you're looking back on it and you're like, man, that was terrible. And not that it sucks, okay? Maybe it's different for other people on other systems, but as a PS4 player, like just as a base PS4 player, and still after the patch, it's broken and it's half a game, guys. And that's the addendum that I wanted to put. That's the end note that I wanted to put for this review. Guys, in one mission, the missions are so cool. There's one mission where I found a talking gun. Can you believe that? A talking gun. A gun was talking to me. His name is Skippy. Along with, of course, Keanu Reeves' gun and all that. Man, Keanu Reeves looks like on PS4 2013 Keanu Reeves. It's not the same Keanu. Like, he did a good job in his voice work, you know? I mean, it's Keanu Reeves. You hear him, but, you know, you do get sucked into the story of Night City. I really like the story a lot. It could be amazing. It's not amazing, okay? It will be. You gotta keep patching it. You gotta keep updating it. If you're selling us a world, sell us a real interactive world, man. It's kind of like, you know, what's up? It's not that interactive. We're going to revisit this topic. We're going to revisit Cyberpunk 2077. This is not going anywhere. And this is a big story in gaming. It's going to keep developing, guys. Hopefully you stay with us for that, okay? I'm going to be going back to Night City to unlock some more of the endings. I'm going to be going back to Night City to do some of these side missions to finish it up. And it looks like a real easy platinum, despite some of the glitched missions. I hope they fix that, guys. And I think this game is going to have a cult following. Right now, it's not really at its core strength, but I'm sure on the PS5 and with more updates, and I know you guys at CD Projekt Red will put out updates for this game. You guys take it easy. Have an awesome night, an awesome day, an awesome new year. And don't forget to hit that subscribe, hit those notifications, hit that like, comment down below, and have an awesome year, guys. Peace. Thanks for supporting us. Our 30th video. We did it, guys.